Hello, hello, hello. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn on my Facebook, Creative Soul on my retreat Facebook page. Invite my friends there. I'm seeing how many people who can come on here and share this space with me. You're welcome to say hello. All right. Pamela, super happy you could join me. Awesome. All right, so hello Creative Souls. I hope you are having a beautiful Tuesday today. I wanted to jump on here and send you some love, but also want to talk to you a little bit about envisioning your business, your creative business, right? We are, as artists, and some of us are healers, some of us are art therapists, we all have these special gifts. The one in common is that art is my superpower, right? That art is your superpower too, right? Like we all have that in common. So with that common thread, there is definitely some uniqueness about us, right? I think about the members in the Creative Soul Society. We have a lot of our therapists, but each one of us has our own unique gift, own unique style, how we do things. Same thing with artists. I have a ton of art friends, but we all kind of have our own interests. So what I want to ask you today is, where are you in your creative process of putting your business, putting your gifts out into the world? I want to know. So are you kind of at the point where you're like all over the place? Like, I'm not even sure like how to start. I'm not sure how to share my stuff. If you're there, I would say you're probably like at a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. Or maybe like you feel like you have your style, you have your brand, you kind of know what you're at, but you don't know where your clients are. So I would say you're probably like at a 5. And then maybe at that 10 would be like you feel like you're in full force, you know your style, you know your brand, you know who your customers are, and you're in that flow. That would be like a 10. Right? So I'm gonna wait here just for a minute and see, where are you? Where do you feel like you are in your creative business, and knowing who you are as an individual and putting your art into the world? So if you want to rate yourself, you can put your comment below so I can kind of see where you're at. Because in the Creative Soul Society this month, we are going to be diving deep into envisioning our business. We're talking about the third eye chakra of like, how do we see ourselves? How do we embody our brand? How do we put ourselves out into the world? Okay. So I'm going to ask you some key questions today. So if you want to like write this down, you can take some notes, but I really want you to start thinking about that. So I was thinking about like, if you're an artist, how you're showing up and sharing your gifts, because really, like I said before, art is your superpower. It is, right? And we're all unique and being able to offer our gifts to the world. So what we're going to do is, for today, is think about 4 key words to describe your art or your business, right? Or your service or your product. 4 key words. What encompasses that, right? And you might need to take some time, right? You say, okay, well, I'll write this down. Maybe I can answer them later. But I'll just give you an example as far as like how I show up and share my gifts. I would say that my art, even the art that I create, and also in my service, it's very energetic. I feel like I have a certain energy that I'm offering, right? It's part of myself. It's peaceful. Look at, I'm already doing peace. So that is definitely comes through in my art and my brand and my messaging. I use the symbol, the key. This is like my logo, which I created a necklace, and this represents mind, body, soul connection. So I see that in my artwork that I create, like behind me, but I also see it in my services, my art therapy services, right? And then I would say that, there's probably like a thread of creativity and spirituality that are in my brand and in my service, right? So go ahead and you can write this down, and you can let me know in here. I'd love to know your comments. How do you see yourself? How do you embody your work? Like, how do you describe it, right? Because what's important here is that if you have a creative business and you're going to be putting yourself out there, right? You want to be consistent, and you also want to know who are your ideal clients, right? And they also want to know who you are. They want you to be defined and be consistent, so they can like show up and know that, oh, that's your work, right? They can tell by the consistency when they see a piece, they know it's by you. So who are you? That's the big question here, right? So what do you stand for? What are some elements, keywords to describe you and your art, right? This should be super simple, because if you know that, that's kind of like an elevator pitch. You know, you meet someone real quickly and they want to know, hey, what do you do? Oh, you're an artist? Oh, cool. What kind of art do you make, right? You can say, these are my 4 things that describe me, right? This is the essence of my brand, my product, my service, right? You want to know that. So go ahead and write that down. And I'd love to know, I haven't seen any questions back, but I would love to know, how do you see yourself as you're showing up? Okay. And I'm asking you these questions because it is a deep dive, and it's, you know, a lot of times artists, they just create things, they're putting it out there, but they're really not doing the inside work that can really help connect you with the people who want your work in their homes or in their offices, or who want to work with you one-on-one, because they want to have that heart-to-heart connection. They want to know who you are as a person, right? So go ahead and write down 4 keywords that describe you. I'm just going to wait a moment to see if anybody responds. Hey, Sharon. Oh, she's giving me a little owl. I love it. Awesome. Sharon, what are 4 keywords that would describe you and your art? I'd love to know, since you're here. Let's see if she writes back. She's like, All right. I'll just give you guys another minute. You know, this is thinking about who you are as a person and how you're showing up. Because there's many artists out there, there's many art therapists, but each of us have our own unique gift, right? It's kind of like someone would come up and say, hey, you want to make me a painting? Well, I'm like, well, sure, I make you a painting, but it's going to be unique with my style. And sometimes people, you know, they want some, like, I remember I had a phone call a few months ago, someone wanted like lettering on their business wall. I'm like, you know, I don't do that. I'm an artist, yes, but you know, that's not my style. It's not my thing to do some lettering. So that's why it's really important to be clear with who you are, your messaging, and what you want, right? What you're putting out there. All right. So the other key component here, I like the word key here, is what is the benefit that people, your customers, are going to be getting from your work, right? If they have it hanging on their wall, if they're getting a service from you, you really need to think about what is that benefit, right? Because that's what they really care about. It's about them, right? So I'm going to give you an example here, and I'm going to use the Creative Soul Society just because I love the community and I love bringing people together, and this is where we're going to be doing the deep dive. But for me, when I talk about the benefits of this offer, right, of this community, is that it creates connection. It's an opportunity to meet up with other artists and creatives, to meet a few times a month, where we can share our art in a safe space. It's growing, so we get to make more like-minded friends. It's also about learning, right? So we have guest speakers, we have opportunity to discover a unique art language because we are creating, and understanding that symbolism in our art. That's actually probably what we're going to focus on next month, because I did a little poll and everyone wants to know about art language and symbolism. The third thing is healing. So it's about self-care. It's about spirituality and the chakras and getting into alignment to feel good, right? And then the last one is manifesting. So it's about how to use our art as that superpower to attract that life that we want, or that business that we want, or whatever thing that we want, right? So those are those 4 key components that benefit the members. They're going to get connection, they're going to get learning, they're going to get healing, and they're going to get manifesting. So that's the benefit, right? And so if I do that with each of my products, each of my services, then people are going to know, wow, I want that, to be a part of that, or I want to be connected to that, even if I do it for my art piece, because it holds that meaning. I know what she's about, her brand, and I want that to be a part of my life, right? So Enrich Art Therapy says that hers is authentic, compassionate, playful, and consistent come to mind. Beautiful, amazing. Those are amazing words to describe yourself. To be authentic, compassionate, playful, consistent. Awesome. And so next is thinking about the benefit. 4 things that would benefit from working with you, right? As an art therapist. And then who is that ideal client as well? I get a lot of people that call me up and be like, hey, are you taking referrals? And it might be not someone that's a good match for me. And I send, I have other art therapists that I refer clients to. I'm like, hey, this is a good match for you. I think I'll let you call them up to see if it's a good fit. So it's good to know, what is your specialty so other people can refer work to you as well. And that's why it's good to get out there and voice yourself and share that uniqueness, right? And have people resonate with you. So you want to get visible, okay? So I feel like I just went over some good information for you to start thinking about, because I really kind of want to know where you're at in your business. Where do you feel like you're at? I'll just say it one more time. If you're at a 1, you're kind of like all over the place, right? Maybe you're a 5, that you know your style, your brand, but you're not really connecting with your customers, maybe because they don't know you yet, or you haven't found your niche, right? Like, where does this piece of art or this service go, who it is for, your ideal customer. And then 10 would be like feeling super confident, like, I know my niche, I know my brand, I'm out there, I'm having that consistent flow, okay? So that's the big thing. I want to know where you're at. If you could rate yourself, hey Lisa, kind of rate yourself. Where are you? Are you like a 1? Are you a 5? Are you a 10? Right? So rate yourself. It's always good to know where you're at, where you need to be. And then the next step, just to review here, is write out 4 keywords that describe your art or your service, right? That's going to wrap it up for you so that you can do that elevator speech. Well, this is what I'm about. I'm energetic, I'm peaceful, I connect mind, body, and soul. I'm creative and spiritual. Help you make that deep heart connection, right? And then next, the 4 benefits that your service or product, your art, your gift, how does that benefit the person? So I talked about the Creative Soul Society and it being connection, learning, healing, and manifesting. Okay, so this is the starting point. I want you to, if you're a member of the Creative Soul Society, that's awesome. This is the starting point for you to start getting your brain juicy, because we're going to be we're doing art about this, right? On the 28th. So let's go ahead and start that process. I actually have another link that I'm going to be sending in the Creative Soul Society, in the Creative Soul Online Retreat on the Facebook group about archetypes. So you can start thinking of like what your business archetype is, right? So really starting to embody who you are as a person and what your gifts are is incredibly important, so that you can be visible and successful, like online, so people want to be a part of that. So yeah, I'm excited to see your answers. If you need to sit with this, I totally understand. It might take some time to write it out, but do write it out so that we can dive deeper, because I know that a lot of members in the Creative Soul Society, they do have businesses and they do want to put their art out there, their gifts out there. And so these are type of the questions that you got to like start searching for that give it meaning, right? And being able to connect authentically with your customers. All right, so other news, if you have any questions, Lisa says, yes, that's me at a 1. Well, good, then you gotta know where you're starting, right? We wanna get you to a 2, but be at your 1 and say, okay, I'm all over the place, so how can I get more clear, right? How can I be more consistent? So it's like, it's picking a certain color palette, or it's picking a certain theme, and then make it from there, and then find the symbolism and finding the patterns that show up, right? That's what's going to make you create your brand, right? That's what's going to create that consistency, that people are going to see your work and be like, oh, that's Lisa's work, right? So to get out of that 1 phase, put some boundaries up and say, I can't be all over the place. I need to zone in. And I've done that too. I love portraits, I love abstracts, I love this. But I said, hey, you know, like last year I did like mostly like water themes, right? And this year I did switch it up. You know, I'm doing like more this like hexagon looking art. But I said, you know what, for this year, I'm gonna stick with that because I want to have a complete series. I want to have at least 20 paintings of that look and that style and theme. And then I can add portraits to it, or I could add other things, but I want it to be clear that that's the direction that I'm going, right? Okay, so if anything else comes up, let me know. So Lisa, yeah, so you gave yourself a 1. She said narrow it down, rein it in. Yes, you got it. So you gave yourself a 1, but also thinking about how would you describe yourself? You know, like what do you want how do you want to show up, and how do you want people to see you? You know, how are you going to embody yourself, right? And these are things that you got to think about, because as you become more visible and be seen, you're like, well, how do I want people to see me? A couple months ago, I did a really fun photo shoot. There was this photographer that I love her style. Actually, it was 4 months ago. I can't believe how time goes so fast. But I wanted to redo my website, and you know, I started thinking about like what are those imagery that I want to use. And I love the idea of like the goddess and just being in nature and connecting with the light, because I feel like that's what I help people do, is kind of find their light, find their intuition and their source energy. And then right down the street, like a block down, there's an orchard, a mango orchard. And so I was like, I would love to do the photo shoot in there, because I see those trees as being like symbolic of the people that I help, right? So it's like, you know, it's like using your art and using that imagery to tell your story, to tell what your brand's about. So that's how it interconnects, right? Because then you're going to start using, you know, those words can lead to the story, or what's the story that you want to tell. You could do it that way as well. The story that you want to tell, and what symbols do you want to use, right? Okay, so I'm just going to read Lisa's question. It said, I thought of some words: expressive, colorful, bold, meaningful, love, and connection. Some good words to describe my art. Beautiful. I love that, Lisa. Amazing. It's good. It's a great place to start, right? As I said, it's like your elevator pitch. So the next part is the benefits of having your art, right? How do people benefit from, you know, your art? And this benefit could be like, yes, it could be a beautiful piece that you make, but it could also be a benefit that like, wow, you give 20% of your proceeds to an organization that helps needy children in Africa, you know, or it could be benefit by, could be benefiting your own mental health, right? It makes you so freaking happy that you like, you know, your art's in someone's home. But yeah, thinking about the benefits is like, how does this benefit the people, your ideal customers, right? And really thinking about who is my ideal customer, who's gonna like this. Like if you're making horse paintings, you know, thinking about people who live on a farm, or they want to connect with their own horse, right? Something like that. At least this is, yes. All right. All right, so if any questions come up, please let me know. You can always leave it on here. And just to give you a heads up, we have so much fun stuff happening in Creative Soul Society this month. This Saturday, we are playing the game Sparked. La 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 la. It's called The Game with Inspiration, Heart, and Hilarity. And it's a question game. It's kind of, it's more of like a positive story. It kind of gets you thinking about how you can share yourself in different ways. So we're going to be playing this on Saturday night. This was made by the Queen of Manifestation, Jen Mazer, and she's going to be our guest speaker on March 1st. Super excited about that. She's actually been one of my teachers in manifesting. Took her course almost 5 years ago. But she's just awesome, and I want you guys to meet her. And then what else do we have? And then about 2 weeks, we have Shimona Stokes, who's an amazing artist, and she practices Reiki. And she's going to talk about how Reiki helped unblock her creativity within herself, and how she infused it into activates her own art, which is cool. And then we're going to be doing the visioning the art business, because this month I'm talking about the third eye chakra, which I've been posting some stuff on Instagram and the Creative Soul online retreat Facebook group about information about that third eye. And so that third eye chakra, this is the way that you open it. This is where it's located, the anja. It's that visioning, right? Using your imagination, using to like really start seeing who are those ideal clients in your business. You know, how are you connecting with them? So you got to connect with yourself first. Find out what you stand for. Find out what your consistency, what your brand is. Take a stand for that, right? And how are you helping others and benefiting others, and letting them know how it's going to benefit them by, you know, owning your piece or owning your service. And that's how, yeah, so that's how that's going to go. That's going to be on the 28th. It's going to be on a Sunday. All right, so any questions come up, I'd love to know. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me. Sending you lots of love. And yeah, I can't wait to dive deeper and actually do some art making about what your embodiment is about your business and how you're showing up. Because your art has a message for you. It really does. All right, I'm going to say goodbye and I'm going to end. Aw, Sharon, you're welcome. Take care. Have a great day. Oh, I thought I ended. I guess I didn't.